What's going on, everybody? This is Afro Think Tank. And I'm noticing that the FBAs, or the xenophobic hate groups of America, are trying to use the xenophobic hate groups in Ghana and the xenophobic hate groups in South Africa to galvanize and to justify why they are xenophobic and hateful to other African people. And I find it kind of weird because they're actually using them as an example and making it seem like they're all delineating together, right? And just like you have the stupid, dumb, xenophobic people from Ghana who got tricked into hating their Nigerian brothers and sisters because of a story that was years old and because of white Western backed and pushed propaganda to make people from Ghana fight their Nigerian brothers and sisters, and which are the same Europeans and the same systems that use white propaganda to get African Americans to hate their African brothers and sisters. You see, behind all these hateful xenophobic movements are white people who wants to do everything they can while utilizing the tools that they still have available to them, which is old media, right, and the know-how to manipulate and trick, to convince African people globally to delineate from each other during the time at which pan-Africanism is on the rise. You see, all these xenophobic, hateful, low-intelligent individual Africans, whether they be in Ghana, South Africa, or America, are all tools of white supremacy, and they're all part of the same tribe. They are too self-centered, too egotistical, too immature to see the bigger picture. They rather talk trash and fight their brothers and sisters because it's the easier thing to do. Because they know they can fight their brothers and sisters and they don't have to face the wrath of the savage barbarian. You see, they don't have smoke for the real enemy. FBA in America, they don't have smoke for white people. They don't have smoke for POCs who come into our communities and disrespect us. You see, FBA, for example, tried to do a thing where they wanted African Americans to delineate from African businesses. They actually came out their mouths, a group of people that pretend like they're pro-black, but they're really pro-ignorance. They wanted to, out of all the groups, all because of maybe a few words or maybe a few ignorant amongst their own tribe in another country, hurt their feelings once on TikTok or Twitter, they were ready to commit a whole campaign, an ethnic war against an entire group of African people. That goes to show you how absolutely stupid and ineffective these Negroes are. The same goes for those stupid Ghanaians who want to push out the Nigerians from Ghana, their brothers and sisters, their historic brothers and sisters, because of one guy who supposedly wanted to do a thing way back when. But they allowed their emotions and their jealousy and their hatred and their lack of knowledge and their lack of wherewithal to get the best of them. And if you notice, if you look at the propaganda, the films of Ghana, look how small those protests actually are. You see, a great deal of the people of Ghana are not participating in this whole get rid of Nigeria thing. If you look at the views of the camera, all these people, it's not a great mass of people hitting streets to try to eliminate people from Ghana. There's only a few stupid, hateful, dumbass Ghanaians who fall for the tricks that the white people put on their plates. Same with FBA and Ados, which are backed and controlled and financed by right-wing native white supremacist organizations to push an agenda to separate African people globally. You see, the greatest enemy of white people is black unity. And they will do anything they can to slow it down. They know they can't stop it. They've tried. They've tried to kill us biologically. They've tried to kill us psychologically, which they're still attempting to do now. They tried to kill us physically. They just can't do it. And no matter what they do, pan-Africanism still takes hold. The need for black people to unify still takes a hold. You see, black people are unifying globally. We're connecting tight. And our tribe, the tribe of Africans who love their brothers and sisters, The tribe of Africans globally who remember who they are, remember where home truly is, remember where their root is. We are getting stronger and stronger every day. We continue to educate ourselves. We continue to not allow the distractions of the Western world to distract us from the ultimate goal. That's to create a better life for our children and our children's children. You see, people who subscribe to things like FBA, they just now found their pride in being black, even though black means African. But they conveniently let that go in one ear and out the other for the sake of how they want to feel. They want to plaster all African Americans with this title FBA. But if you go outside in America, no African American knows what FBA is. We even have people calling themselves FBA, not knowing that it's a xenophobic hate group pushed by white supremacy. Many African Americans have put to light what FBA and Ados truly is. We have put to light who the leader of these groups are. But just like cult members, they don't listen to reason. And they are, in fact, the enemy from within. Every single time I talk about FBA, I am not talking about African Americans. Because African Americans are a proud group of Africans who didn't get to choose to come to America. We were forced to come to America. And we made a life for ourselves despite living with the savage, evil, barbarian orc hordes. We've done many great things, and we continue to do many great things. And we are going to continue that legacy that started in Africa thousands of years ago, when the first African, the first human became aware of oneself. You understand? See, African Americans are a part of a great legacy, a legacy that goes back millions of years. We don't subjugate ourselves to an idea that our legacy, our lineage starts when the white man put shackles around our necks and shackles around our wrists. You see, we're greater than that. So FBA is not a strong enough word for us. Foundational Black American is not enough to describe who African Americans are. We are foundational Black Africans. We are aboriginals and natives to the world. We are the progenitors of all life, all civilization. And we are educated and we understand which direction human migratory patterns went because we actually stayed in school, we stayed in our classes, and we learned, unlike the members of FBA and Ados, who clearly are lacking in education. Just like those South Africans right now who are spending all their time and energy attacking their fellow African brothers and sisters. But they have no smoke for that white man, that 7% of European Neanderthal barbarian that owns 80% of their country. They have the most pan-African political party, the EFF, fighting for the soul of South Africa, for Azania. Yet their ignorance, their jealousy, and their lack of knowledge have them fighting their own brothers and sisters as if they are the cause of the problem and not those white people who they smile in their faces and enjoy the fact that they do their dances and wear their clothes and speak their languages. As they gas up these white people and welcome them in to their fold, they shun all other Africans as if they are the problem. As if their economic situation within their countries is not caused by that very same white person ass that they kiss. Same with the African Americans who call themselves FBA. As they belittle and shun other Africans and the conditions of their country and forget why those countries are in those conditions that they're in while kissing the ass of the very same white person that put them in that situation. While they have no problem loving, marrying, working with, connecting with that white person that went to Africa, stole their ancestors, murdered and genocided their relatives, brought them to America, made them slaves for 400 years, ate them, beat them, raped them, dehumanized them, they have no problem living within the organization of these white people. Even though these white people make fun of them every day, remind them that they're second-class citizens every day. And every chance they get, they say, "What are you doing in my neighborhood, boy? What are you doing around here, boy? Let me see your ID, boy. Get from around here, boy. This is sundown town, boy." Despite all that rhetoric, apparently they only got heat for the Africans who say maybe one or two words that's derogatory because their feelings are hurt, but their feelings are not hurt by that. That goes to show you that they're stuck in Stockholm Syndrome. They're a prime example of someone who loves their jailer, someone who loves their enslaver, Someone who's so comfortable within their misery that they don't want to do anything else. They're afraid to be African. FBA, they're afraid to be African. Ados, they're afraid to be African. They're afraid to look in the mirror and see themselves for who they really are. Pretendians might be the most ridiculous group because not only are they afraid to be Africans, they're ashamed to be Africans, but they appropriate in some other marginalized group's culture. They want to pretend to be something that they're not with absolutely no historical evidence to back it up. But that doesn't matter because when you're in a cult, evidence doesn't mean anything. Common sense is not common within these individuals. And it's a shame because not only are you disrespecting a group of people who were marginalized and destroyed even more than us African people, but you seem to forget all those people that want to be so close to the Native Americans. You forget they weren't strong enough to maintain their territory, unlike the African. Despite the situation we find ourselves in, our African brothers and sisters on the continent were still strong enough, despite the savage barbarian hordes, to maintain control of Africa, at least in the physical sense. If you have noticed, the Native Americans no longer control North America in any which way, how, or any shape or form. And you also forgot that those very same Native Americans that you want to be so close with don't want to be close with you, as they just were forced to recognize African people who they enslaved, by the way, trying to be close to whiteness. They enslaved the Africans, by the way, and then said that they don't have the tribal rights after slavery was over. You forget that these same Native Americans that you want to be close with are the same ones that didn't recognize that Africans were freed from slavery and they wanted to maintain the African slaves that they had. But you Negroes still want to be closer to those group of people. That shows how much psychosis, post-traumatic slave syndrome, you and the genetics that's running through your blood is having right now. It shows you how damaged of individuals you are right now. So there's only two tribes of Africans on this planet at this moment. You have Pan-Africans, right? The Pan-African tribe, that's African Americans, Afro-Caribbeans, continental Africans, Afro-Latinos who never forgot where they come from, who respect and honor their ancestors, who fought and died in places that they didn't know about, who fought and died so that you could be here, who actually sacrificed their lives for you. While you worship your white gods, while you worship your Asian gods trying to find salvation, while you pretend to be some mythical Hebrew Israelite, while you worship these Abrahamic gods that was beaten into your ancestors trying to find solace, Pan-Africans are coming out of psychosis of white and Asian religions that have been the bane of African existence for the last 500 years. So you must understand this. There is nothing these white savage barbarians can do to stop Pan-Africanism. And they can throw as many ignorant Negroes at us as they want. They can convince as many low-educated, low-knowledge, easily successful, gullible Negroes, no matter what country they are, they can throw as many of them at us as they want. But it will not stop the unification of the black man globally, because we are more powerful than you. We are stronger than you. We have a mission, and we're going to conduct that mission. You see, we may talk a little bit of trash on the internet back and forth with you guys. But understand, when we get off the internet, we are actually doing things to move our people forward globally. Despite your wishful thinking that Pan-African is dead. Despite your wishful thinking that Africans still live in mud huts and they're unhuman and they can't do nothing for themselves and that China's taking over. You see, when y'all say things like China is taking over, that's because you have a white man's mentality. Your enslaver has convinced you that another group of people are doing you harm because they're not allowed to do you harm. White people want African people globally to make Chinese people the enemy. White people want you to be afraid of any other group of people that go and do business in Africa. That's why you're convinced that the Chinese are taking over Africa. Well, in fact, the Chinese are not taking over Africa. Africa is taking over Africa. Africa is doing international business with other countries because they have the right to do so, because we live in a global world where people connect economically and socially to uplift their states and countries. You see, if you was an intelligent individual, you would know that. But you see, you're whitewashed by this American Western system that tells you if it ain't a white person doing it, then it's obviously bad. You're so used to America and the West colonizing the globe, thinking that's a normal thing. But what has white people done for Africa lately? What have they done good for Africa? Tell me, what presidents have military bases in Africa done to benefit Africans? Absolutely nothing. But you guys seem to be educated based off watching Fox News and listen to hearsay or listen to anecdotal evidence or seeing one or two bad Chinese apples in China being, or Africa being, not so good to the local people. All of a sudden you think China is taking over Africa. China's not taking over Africa, especially not Nigeria. China is not taking over Africa. They need Africa. There is no country on this planet that's going to be able to take over Africa. They're going to do business with Africa because Africa has everything the world needs. But you new Negroes who rather be FBA are the only ones who haven't figured out yet that everybody is scrambling for Africa, but they have to come correct. The same way everybody scrambles to come to America. You see, America is a country of immigrants. Everybody who's in America comes from someplace else. Everybody, except for the Native Americans. They do belong there. Because they weren't strong enough to maintain their territory, they're all but extinct for the most part. They're an endangered species of human beings. Because they couldn't stop fighting each other. You see, the same way you guys talk about tribalism in Africa as if tribalism is an inherent African problem that only Africans have, and that Africans can't seem to get over that. What you don't seem to realize or understand that what you're calling tribes are nations of people, nations of different countries who had historical issues with each other, just like every single square inch on this planet that consists of human beings had exactly the same issue. If you go to Asia, they also have a thing called tribes, and they're also fighting each other for different reasons, for one thing or another, different kingdoms. And if you go to Europe, you would see the most fighting group of tribes on the planet are the Europeans, who are currently genociding themselves right now. But I don't hear anybody saying, oh, look at those Europeans in that tribalism. Even though Europeans have displayed that they don't trust or like each other, never have trusted or never have liked each other. And they are the architects and the builders and inventors of drawing lines and fighting over those lines. Yet you don't seem to put the same face on them as you currently are watching them genocide themselves on a scale not being seen anywhere on the country, anywhere on the planet at all. Cambodia and Thailand just fought, but you don't hear anybody saying, oh, look at that tribal warfare. No, those are two different groups of people that had an issue, and they're trying to solve it right now. Just like in Africa, there are groups of people that have issues, and they're trying to solve it right now. And best believe they will solve it. You think every governmental organization is some sort of psyop that the Europeans are controlling. That's just lazy thinking, because somebody told you that before. Some pseudo-historian told you that. Some pseudo-politician told you that. Some know-nothing Negro on the internet that actually don't know but is telling you their feelings told you that. So you internalize it and you take it as fact instead of actually doing actual research and finding out what the facts is. And then you regurgitate it like a robot, like a bot, like a troll, and you are so convinced that what you're saying is right, you have the arrogance to tell other people to do their research, to look it up when you never did. You just heard a motherfucker say that shit. You guys y'all guys have a rude awakening happening. Y'all gonna have your ignorance will not be tolerated. This is the age of information. Ignorance is not cool. Your distractions into your mindless entertainment is not research. It's not living. You're dumbing yourselves down, while the rest of us Africans are making ourselves smarter by adding new data, by retooling. That's what we're doing. That's what's happening here. And if you are not aware, if you can't open your eyes with all the access to the data that you have in your hand, this cell phone that we have gives you all access to all data. If you don't know how to use the tool in your hand to improve yourself, to find out what's really true and what's not, and regurgitate proper and true information, then you are a part of the problem. You see, we always knew as Africans when it was time to go home that everybody wasn't going to come. We have plenty of examples in the past of Negroes who are very comfortable being in Massa House, very comfortable being in the slave house, very comfortable being on the plantation. And a lot of you people who call yourself FBA, who heard that name 2-3 years ago, and now you think that you're going to blanket all proud African Americans with FBA just because your C-listing rapper said it's a lineage, and because he's the leader and he told you he wasn't the leader, you go around saying he's not the leader while regurgitating every word that he says, including them tired, whack-ass 90s jokes that he tells, because all of you repeat everything that he says, word for word. That's how we know you're in a cult. I just want to let you guys know, FBA, Ados, you're not a lineage. You're a xenophobic hate group. Pan-Africanism is not a club. It's an action. It's an ideology, something you can't destroy, something that can't die. Because when you put your fists together like that, you saying you pro-black, you pan-African. That's all the fists coming together as one. And that's how we become strong. And that's what's happening. And positivity and pro-black and the need for black people to come together as a community is much stronger than your xenophobic, hateful rhetoric. It's much stronger than your xenophobic, useless, hateful actions. You are in the way. You are a non-participating player. You are an annoyance. That is all that you are. You have no effect. You have no plan to do anything but sit there, complain about the people who are actually daring to take action while you sit on the couch and do nothing very loudly. Anyway, I hope I've been very clear about this. Like I said, you have two groups of African people on this planet. Those who want to unify and see their brothers and sisters as brothers and sisters, despite the individual differences that we have, despite the arguments that we will have in the future and the arguments that we have now. And then you have your xenophobic, hateful dumbasses who have no plans to unify, who don't know anything about unification, and is too distracted by mindless entertainment and grifters to see the bigger picture. Those are the idiots. And we can find those in Ghana, South Africa, America, the Caribbean, and every other African country and place that African people exist. We know they are there. We know they're useless, and we know they are the weakest links. And they are the ones that will be left behind, and we do not have a problem with it. Anyway, that's all I got to say. This is Afro Think Tank. Learn some Tito. I'm out.